Welcome, everyone. How are you all doing today? Hey, it's just showing like I'm going live. Hey. Welcome. I am Latrice Huff, career and leadership coach to ambitious women of color. It is my mission and my movement to help women of color have their dream careers and their dream businesses. And so, one way that we do this is by using manifestation, mindset, and identity work. And what I want to share with you all today on this topic is how my client doubled her income using identity work. And I actually want to share with you all two clients. I'm going to start with my business client. Actually, let me start with the career. I'm going to start with the career client, and then we'll go into the business client. And I'm going to show how we used identity work and how a shift in their identity led to a significant increase in their income, and how this can work for you too. This is especially for you if you've had the corporate job or you have the business, you have the revenue, but it's dipping, it's coming and going. Or even if you've ever said to yourself, I should be further along, or why don't I have that internal feeling? You check all the boxes externally, but it's not showing up internally or in your income, right? Because we want to live our dream lives. It is not just about living someone else's life. It is not just about having the money and the income and the credentials. It is about enjoying your life and what your dream life is. Okay. So, as we go through this, as I share these stories, I want you to think about how you can use these tips, these suggestions in your own life to create your dream life. This is what it's all about. This is what I've done in my own life. From going from, I was making at one point, y'all, I was making 16,000 as a single mom of two kids, 16,000 a year, okay? As a struggling single mom, I quickly learned how to double my income, quadruple my income without working more hours. Then I learned to do it again in my own business when my mom got sick and she got diagnosed with a terminal illness. So I'm sharing with you all what I've done and what I've helped, I would say, dozens of my clients do as well. All right, so we're going to get right into it. So I want to start with my career client. This is off of my career girlies, and then we're going to get into the business example. So I had a client that came to me. She had just been laid off from her job, and she was making what we would call like decent money, like a little less than six figures, but she knew she wanted more. She kept getting called for the same level of roles. For like, she was an HR director, but she wanted to get a churro. So a chief human resources officer was her ideal role. It was her ideal role. We were doing everything. She had the great resume. She had the credentials. She had the certifications. She had the degree, checking all these boxes. However, she kept getting roles offered to her for the director level and not at the income that she wanted. And then also, she was applying for director level roles. She wasn't even applying for the higher level roles. And so one day I just was like, hey, you know what? You say you want this, but you don't see yourself in this higher level role. You need to embrace this identity. Sorry, let me see. I have to turn my camera. Good. And so one of the things was she just didn't see herself in the role. Again, she saw herself as an HR director. She was getting offers and she was getting interviews and offers for HR director roles, but not at the significant six-figure level that she wanted. And also not at the churro level. Like, again, she wanted to be a chief of human resources officer. And so I was like, you know what? You need to seriously embrace this identity. So one of the first things we did, I was like, let's think about what you want. So I had her write an offer letter to herself as this churro role. She wrote the offer letter. It was amazing. I was like, okay, now we're going to think about a day in the life. I would say it's 10 a.m. I always do 6 months or a year from now. It's 10 a.m. What does your life look like as this chief human resources officer? Are you working from home? Are you not taking meetings till 10 a.m.? Are you meeting with your employees? Like, what does your ideal version look like? And that is what we did. And we went deep into that. I had her relax, close her eyes. and really envision and see herself already in this role. This is where we take it a step further. I said, okay, after we got comfortable with that, the next week I said, you know what? You're going to embrace the identity, be this person. I was like, for 24 hours, you're going to wake up and you are going to be this chief human resources officer making multiple six figures for the ideal company doing the work that you love to do. Meaning, how would she dress? You're going to get up and dress like her. What time does she get up? Does she say affirmations in the morning, right? Like, or in your version, does she check her emails? What is it that she's doing? Oh, thank you, Mike. He says the offer to yourself is gold. Love it. Yes, this is one of the things I always have my clients do is create and write this offer letter to yourself. If you can't see it, you can't be it. Right. And so even sometimes people are like, well, I can't visualize. You don't always need to visualize in your mind. Sometimes it's best to get it out of your mind and get it on paper. So I can do a whole live until how we do this. I actually have a template that I provide with them, and I have them think about how would your ideal company and your ideal boss write this offer letter to you as their dream candidate, right? So thank you so much. Yeah, we can go more into that, but it is an amazing technique that works and it helps you get into the identity of I have this role, I am this person. When we get to the business one, I'll share some of the techniques that I use for my business owners as well to really see themselves as this new identity. So what I told her to do, her name was Kenya, but what I told Kenya to do was like, hey, as you are preparing for this, like we had to plan. I was like, I want you to plan. How are you going to dress? What time are you waking up? Are you going to the gym first? Are you checking emails first? What is your version? Remember, we already visualized her ideal life. Now it's like, get clear specifics. And I was like, for 24 hours, you're going to do this. And she's like, well, what if I'm at work and I get an email? I was like, you're going to respond to that email as if you are the chief human resources officer. This is your identity. You're in it. Now, keep in mind, in reality, she was the HR director. She had the chief human resources officer. And I was like, doing this exercise, helping her get into the identity. One, when she stepped in that office, her aura was different. When she answered the questions, when people were emailing her, it was not like, okay, I got to see what my boss says. She was able to answer the questions at a higher level. And when I got feedback from her, that was one of the main things she said is like her brain was open. She didn't feel limited to like, okay, I'm an HR director, so maybe this isn't my role. She was solving problems on a higher level. You guys, within, I would say 48 hours. So I had her do this for a complete 24 hours, She's sleeping and everything, 24 hours. When she woke up the next day, she actually had a message from a recruiter who one of her former colleagues had reached out to and was like, hey, I think this person would be great for a chief human resources officer role. That was double her salary. She actually started to apply for chief human resources officer roles. She got one of those roles and doubled her income, doubled her salary. Okay. And this is how we know that it's not just the degrees. And I am all for degrees. I have a college degree. Just about all my clients have degrees. But this is how we know that it's more than that because she had all of those things, but her identity was the same. She did not see herself as this chief human resources officer. Once she really embraced that this is who I am, she had already been doing her boss's work anyway, to be honest. She was already there. She just didn't have the identity, so therefore it didn't manifest in her income, title, or salary. All right. Let me know if you are like, all right, we got it. Let me know. Right. And I do want to share this before I even go into the business example. I do have a free workshop that I've hosted. So you can get the replay. It's called How I Manifested $40,000 in 1 month. So if you're interested in that, you can put pivot in the comments and we'll send you the link and you can watch the replay. And then you'll be on my email list. I always do like pop-up workshops to my email list and like Q&As that I don't necessarily advertise on LinkedIn or YouTube. So If you're interested, put pivot in the comments and we'll send you that link. Sorry, I need some water, you guys. All right. Next, I want to share with you all my business client, right? But before we get into that, let's just recap. What did we do? She knew the role, the income level. She knew what she wanted, but she was not embracing it. She was not in that identity and not taking action. As you do identity work, I do believe you need to take action. Not just your energy needs to change, your thinking needs to change. Her action was showing up that day, behaving in that way of the chief human resources officer. That was her identity shift. I mean, that was her action. Then even applying for those roles and even responding when she got that email from that recruiter in her inbox, responding. Because I'm going to share this. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in HR for over 15 years. In corporate, I've had my business for nearly 10 years. When it comes to it's, and I'm going to call us out specifically women of color, an opportunity can sit in your lap, can fall in your lap. But if you don't see yourself that way, you will sabotage it. I have seen women, if they don't work on that mindset and their identity, then even if they get the role and get the income by force or by choice, I've seen them removed from that role. I've seen your income will be at the level that you think you belong. And so I've seen it when women have gotten um, emails or inquiries in their email in their DMs, and they're like, "Well, this can't be for me because this is a level too high, to a role 2 levels up." And I'm like, "Sis, that's where you belong." These people are looking at your credentials and they're saying that's where you belong. Okay. So just keep these things in mind as we're talking, what you can do. Hey, Lourdes. Yeah, I see Lourdes says pivot. We're going to get that link to the workshop out to you as well. And so I want to switch now to my business clients. And let me just say this. I recommend at this point in time that every person watching this, every woman of color, every person of color, if you are in America, you need to have another form of income besides your 9 to 5 job. And this is coming from someone who's a career coach, someone who has been in human resources, who have seen people get laid off from no fault of their own, and from someone who has held their business for nearly 10 years. I have never seen some of the things that is going on right now go on. So I would recommend everyone think about how you can have some additional source of income, whether it's stocks, whether it's investments. You need to have some additional source of income besides your 9 to 5 job. We want a 9 to 5 job, right? But this is my little side thing. This is just me. I'm telling y'all, you need to have something else to bring in income. If you are a business owner, this is how identity work, especially I find having my own business one of the easiest ways to create my own income. Right? Career, you're always involving someone else. When it's your own business, I make all the decisions in my business, right? I can rework my packages, rework my programs, increase my prices. If I feel like I need a raise, I can give myself a raise. However, it is based on the identity of how I see myself. Do I see myself as worthy and deserving? Let me know who this is. It's just telling me LinkedIn user. You guys, let me know who this is. I don't know why it's not showing on my end. So if you're the LinkedIn user who put the eye emojis, let me know your name because it's not telling me for whatever reason. And I don't like that. I like to give people a shout out and like to see who's joining and who's watching. For my business owners, I would say increasing your income can be one of the easiest things, and working on your identity does have its challenges. Identity work is really deep down. I do feel like it can be easier in the careers, but you can make more money when you shift your identity in your own business. And once you learn how to shift faster and faster, your income will consistently increase, and there is no cap. Oh, hey, Tiffany. Thanks. Hey, Tiffany. I don't know why it's not showing me who you are. Hey, Tiffany. So yes. All right. I'm gonna wrap this up because I want to make I told myself I won't stay on long. I'm gonna make this quick. So I had a client, she was like, Latrice, I have flexibility, but no freedom. So she had her own business, but no freedom. I only got one, Tiffany. Thank you. I figured it was you, Tiffany. I was like, got one, Tiffany, but thank you. She had flexibility, but no freedom. She's up working till midnight. She's like, this is not why I started my business. And she was making around six figures, let's say like 102, but her profit margins weren't there. She had contractors, she had an employee who she was paying a lot. We went through a very similar process. I was like, why did you start your business? What was this for? And she wanted to start her business so that she had the finances and the freedom to be there for her family. Her kids were a little younger. At this time, they're older now, but when she started her business, they were younger. And she was like, I need the flexibility to pick them up, do what I wanted. And she was in human resources as well. Here's the thing. She saw herself as a business owner who was always busy. You do not need to be a business owner who is always busy. That is an identity. I actually had someone tell me that they would never start their own business because it's a 24/7 job. And I was like, no, it's not. Like that is a choice you're making and your decision to work on your business 24 hours a day. And probably because you have no systems and no boundaries. But making money and having a business does not need to be a 24/7 job at all. Trust me. I have kids. I'm a wife. I have one kid in elementary school. I volunteer. I do all these things while still running my business. I travel like while still running my business. But what we had to get into was the same. What do you want your life to look like? For her, she was like, I want to be able to stop work at 6 versus midnight. She still wanted the flexibility and freedom for her kids. And she was like, I don't want to be doing all this work. The main thing, she was like, I want to take midday naps. And I've never been a nap person myself. So I was so intrigued. I was like, oh, wow, these midday naps. This is amazing. Let's take these naps. Okay. So, but she just couldn't see herself as the person who did this, who ran their business this way. So therefore, she wasn't even coming up with the ideas for systems. I was like, some of this is systematic. Some of this is you just need to solve with some business decisions. And let me say this as a side note. I am not just coming on here to you guys as someone who's all about identity work, manifestation, or someone who like just has their own business. I actually have a business degree. That is my field of study is business and marketing. Okay. My mom had her own business since I can remember. So business has always been a part of my life in a formal way, in an informal way, and a practical way because I am a business owner. So the advice I was giving her is a combination of experience, expertise, and knowing that it is something else besides that. Because it was a reason she couldn't make these decisions. It was a reason she couldn't see, just block your calendar. And she physically couldn't do it because something was stopping her. Once we worked on her identity work, and I was like, you need to see yourself as this amazing, powerful decision maker. She saw herself as a business owner, but not necessarily someone who is making the hard decision. I was like, you can make the hard decisions. First decision, what time do you want to take your nap? Okay, let's block it. This was her vision. And I was like, you're going to be this person. Same thing. How does she, this amazing business owner who is earning money, who has the flexibility and freedom, who is traveling, how does she show up? And for her, we're not just going to do it for a day. I was like, we're going to do it for a week. And in that identity is when we started making these decisions. Block your calendar. Nobody needs to know that you're taking a nap. You're out. What time you want to take your nap? 12 to 1? Bet. No, you don't need to put nap time on your calendar. You're just unavailable during that time. Secondly, we restructured how her employee was working versus how she was working. Because I was like, at this point, you're working for your employee, making those hard decisions, setting boundaries, but from the identity of I am this amazing business owner who can have flexibility and freedom. who has flexibility and freedom, and she gets to define what that flexibility and freedom looks like for her. This is one of the things I want you all to remember. As I tell you all these stories, these are just my client examples. You get to decide what flexibility and freedom looks like for you and your lifestyle, okay? No one else's. So, in doing that, in her stepping into that true identity, making some of these hard decisions, adjusting that calendar, setting up systems in her business as well, she was able, when we got through, she was like, Latrice, I'm going to be doubling my income. She was already making six figures because she started to get more rest. I'm a firm believer in rest. Step into that identity. She was getting more ideas, but also utilizing her staff better, allowing them to do the more work versus her doing the work and saying, I want my staff to do the least amount of work possible. No, that's not the identity she was stepping into. I was like, so many of us, and I've said this before, when we become entrepreneurs, we still have an employee mindset. We're still in an employee identity as we step into entrepreneurship. That is the biggest shift to making more money, when you shift your mind. Not just I have an LLC or I have my first client, but my mindset has now shifted from an employee to an entrepreneur. You realize that time and money are not connected. You realize that you can bring in money while you're taking a nap. I've gotten clients while I was on vacation because I know how to disconnect the concept by time and money, and I have systems on the back end working for me, and I have staff. Let me know if that makes sense, okay? But it starts with your identity. This is how she was able to, by the end of that year, I think even before the year was complete, she had doubled her income while working less. All right. So let me know if you are like Latrice, we are feeling this. Which tip resonated with you the most? Which thing can you like? I can do this. Is it like I can visualize a day in the life? I can make some hard decisions in my business or my career. I'm going to write this offer letter to myself. One of the things I did when I was like, you know what? I want to increase my salary. I was like, I want to be a six-figure coach. I did the math. I was like, what does a six-figure coach look like? Like, how much do I need to charge? I literally printed out a PayPal confirmation. This is when I was using PayPal, like a PayPal confirmation from an email, adjusted the amount right? Adjusted the amount that is said on there, and then put it by my bedside every single night. And I was looking at it every single night before I went to sleep and every single morning when I woke up. And then I'd be focused on that identity. I am a six-figure coach. When I wanted to make multiple six figures, I did the same thing. So this is one of the ways, instead of the offer letter, if you are a business owner, what do you want that invoice to say? You can create an invoice that says paid to you for the amount that you want. You can write a check to yourself in the amount that you want a client to pay you, and then look at it and see it. So these are some ways that if you are a business owner, you can utilize. I call it the offer letter technique. You can utilize the offer letter technique in your business. Okay. Let me see. All right. I know this is your lunch break. I appreciate y'all staying with me. Any other questions? Any questions before we hop off? If you come up with some questions, put them in the comments. I'm going to be checking the comments. Also, feel free to share this, tag this, add your commentary. We want to get more people watching the lives. I want to get this information out to people, especially now, and I want to hear from you all. All right. Again, if you're interested in getting the replay of my workshop, How I Manifested $40,000 in 1 month, you can put pivot in the comments and we will send you that, and you'll get on my email list. And so you'll get notified when I do special workshops, when I do pop-up Q&As, you'll get notified. Thank you. All right. You all have a good day. Happy Monday. Hope you enjoyed your lunch break. Bye.